Hello everyone, my name's Bob Mitch and it's been a while again. I even have a poor health excuse this time rather than the usual working in a hospital COVID madness excuse. So my heart decided to run a marathon last weekend without me actually taking part, or in other terms I went into fast atrial fibrillation and my heart rate went all wacky. So good things at the moment. Thankfully I got to get shot back to normal in theatres, so I'm okay at the minute. And there are, of course, Star Citizen things to talk about, so here we go again. Due to my own inconsistency with videos at the minute, there's actually been a lot that's happened in Star Citizen lately that I haven't covered, several patches worth in fact. And I figure it's better to go over everything in general rather than spend ages over several videos trying to catch up with things one by one. And I thought it'd be a nice idea to have a kind of perspective view of where we are now. I can't call it a state of the game because I've been nicking that idea from Board Gamer and I love his shiny little head. So I'll go back to my own style of is this game finally playable instead, because it's been a long time since I did one of those videos. Way back when I did one of these, I think the last one I can remember that did well was in version 3.2 of the game, and now we're on 3.12. Which seems just like numbers, but so much has happened since then, and so many different things have been added, changed, or tweaked. Some things have been taken away, effing chat for Delamar, and although we still haven't got a lot of the fundamental tech, there's still a lot to see and do in the alpha. The most recent additions, in no particular order, include the volumetric cloud tech, which is very pretty and atmospheric to fly through and to fight in, cargo decks on stations in prep for the trading whales and their giant merchant ships, the refinery decks on the L1 stations around planets for the miners, giving them a more central point of interest and an area where to do things. The first implementation of a tractor beam in the form of an attachment for the multi-tool, turning it into a kind of pseudo-gravity gun that could hilariously at one point stop and hold missiles mid-flight. And they're just major items. Before we get to things like HUD updates for ships, so they've all got the new HUD, planetary tech improvements that keep making all the planetary bodies look even more gorgeous by each patch, UI element updates like interactable elevator buttons now, your own HUD telling you what pad or hangar your ship is in, so ease of life, and even more FPS weapons. Capital ships being stolen by NPC pirates, capital ships being stolen by player pirates, there's a lot to unpack that's happened. The biggest, most important and most obvious update for now though of course is the Xenothreat event. This had been teased a long time ago by CIG by them transplanting some wacky audio messages into the game, normally at Port Olisar and a few cheeky billboards and things like that. And after some PTU testing, this event is slowly being unspooled in phases on the live servers. In simple terms, the Xenothreat is a big bunch of space racists who aren't happy with mankind doing social things with ET, so they want to blow things up. In the event on Star Citizen, this involves defending an NPC-flown Javelin, big destroyer, and player ships simultaneously whilst we retrieve supplies for the Javelin. Players have to defend the Javelin at a new NPC station come flying base, Jericho Station, which is very pretty but doesn't have much inside it at the moment apart from a very Scottish goods manager, who you turn supplies into.
For anything cargo related, the terminal's your best bet.
The supplies must be gathered by players from the cargo decks of 3 Starfarer wrecks a short travel distance away, about 500 kilometres. These wrecks have to be boarded through a broken door, so one that's exposed to space from the wreck, and then you make your way through the ship to the cargo bay, which has NPC enemies inside to deal with, so there's an FPS combat element as well. And then once you're inside, you can use a little generator to open the cargo bay door to make unloading the Starfarer easier. There's 3 kinds of cargo that you have to shift, all with fancy names, but to keep it simple we'll go with red, blue and green. Red is quantum sensitive and you can't travel with it or it'll explode, so you have to bring it back the 500 kilometers or so the old-fashioned sublight way. Blue is heat and impact sensitive, fire or too much banging it about carrying it, or if your ship gets too many dings and that one explodes. And green is time sensitive, so the moment you remove it from its pallet box, it has a little timer in the form of an integrity percentage on its case, and if that hits 0, it explodes. Simple. These have to be loaded onto cargo decks of player ships by players. It can be done by hand, but it's a great way of showcasing and getting used to the little tractor beam toy to sling crates across the void of space into the cargo bay of a pilot who's done a good job parking their ship just opposite the Starfarer. Whilst this is happening, the Xenothreat dudes will attack at random intervals, normally with waves of fighters, and one or two larger support ships, as well as an RSI Mantis usually, which will turn on its quantum travel nullifier and stop the player's ships leaving. The Xenos also attack the Javelin at intervals, spawning a small wave of fighters as well as an NPC-controlled Idris frigate, which will turn its main railgun on the Javelin. Too many hits on the Javelin and the mission fails. However, turn in enough of the cargo and the Javelin undocks and currently leaves, and the mission is a success. This is in the current phase that's on the servers at the minute and the one I've been playing, whereas when the next one rolls out, which should be sometime later this week, the Javelin will undock and zoom to the wreck site for an awesome capital ship battle. Namely, the Javelin will fight two Idrises with support fighters and of course players in the chaos as well. Having played a fair bit of it over the weekend, and some of it with Board Gamer and Zin, it's actually really fun. If you have a Star Citizen package and you have a Star Citizen ship, it doesn't matter if it's an Aurora, a little tiny Aurora, or an 890 jump, go and play. You don't have to fly your own ship, you can actually just help move cargo in the wrecks onto the player ships, or you can jump in someone else's turret on the fly in their ship to give additional fire support. It's given a bigger sense of purpose that whilst I've been playing, there has been no griefing, no arguments, no trolling, nothing. Everyone gets involved because aside from it being very fun, it's actually a stupidly easy way at the minute in the game to make money. The payouts from it are huge, so for new players especially who are just diving into buying their own armour and weapons and stuff and don't have many credits, it's easy money, it's a great money maker. Normally about 200k in an hour, if not more. The best thing, besides the usual bugs and, a few glitches every now and then, which is sure to get more interesting as players have now discovered how to hijack the Javelin and fly it around, these missions play pretty seamlessly, and in my experience they haven't had major issues. It's worked and it's working well. So these are all the positives. What's been negative about things in the space that I haven't covered videos? Well, the roadmap. We have a roadmap now, but it took forever. There was a roadmap for the roadmap that became a meme for a while, that's how drawn out it was. And the one that we did get once again removed a lot of things or moved them quite far back, with the original roadmap being very optimistic. Within the game itself, the Xenothreat mission pushes home the fact that without the core tech modules, like the iCache and the server meshing, the servers are being pushed to their absolute limit as to what they can do at their current level. Not only was the player cap on servers brought back down, CIG had to remove a whole planetary system from the current game in order to free up the resources on each server for it. So the Delamar system, which was home to the Levski landing point, is now gone. Technically, it shouldn't have even been there to begin with, as it's not meant to be in the Stanton system anyway, but that's neither here nor there, because it was put in for development. The argument that can be made is that the Xeno mission is a hell of a lot more fun than a planetoid in its landing zone, and on balance, yes, I do prefer the mission myself. But again, it shows just how much the server is being stretched now when everything is running at full tilt. It makes the case even stronger now that after the big hurdle that was server-side object container streaming, we really do need iCache and server meshing. The next biggest point, and it's one that's always going to come with a grain of salt, and it always comes up when I do one of these in the comments, these tiny review can you play videos, is system performance on your computer. So Star Citizen is still in a lot of ways a giant tech demo for a lot of newly tested game engine technology. It's buggy, it's unoptimised as hell, and it doesn't care if you have a budget sub £1,000 system or some NASA rivaling dual RTX 3090 wielding monster. Star Citizen will still eat all the system resources you can possibly throw at it. And the only way I can say it really is that everyone has their own personal experience on their own system. It's a no-brainer that getting a more modern system, the better things will be. Newer CPUs handle the game a lot better than, say, CPUs from just 5 or 6 years ago did. The new GPUs speak for themselves if your CPU doesn't bottleneck them, and RAM is getting faster and cheaper. I myself just put 32 gig of RAM in my machine that had 16, and I've been getting better frame rates because Star Citizen on average uses about 17 gig of RAM now, so it really does pay to have a bit more RAM. And most people these days are using SSDs now as opposed to ye olde hard drives. NVMe storage is obviously a damn sight faster and better if you can get it for load times and just for general performance. And your mileage might vary, but compared to my last video in this kind of context, there is a lot of other places to visit and so much more to do in the alpha now, compared to just a couple of barren moons to visit the last time I kind of visited this topic. And with that, there's still so much further to go. We still don't have a jump gate yet to go to another system. We still don't have Squadron 42, which is a bigger sticking point for a lot of people, and rightly so. As it is in the playable universe, when it works well. It's still beautiful, and it's a ridiculously engaging multiplayer game that, with the addition of the Xenothreat mission, is showing how well everything can come together to make it an incredible in-depth space simulator that's worth looking into. So, you'll have to tell me what you guys think, as you did last time I did one of these videos. Have you been having fun with the new Xenothreat mission? Can your computer run it well is the most important thing, because normally when the Idris and the Javelin start locking horns, things start getting very frame rate droppy. So you'll have to let me know how you guys are doing. Besides the normal things along those, we have new weapons, we have new ships as well. I know I haven't done a video on the Talon, although I did own one at one point. There's still things I haven't dipped into because there's so much going on, but you'll have to let me know what you guys think. So for now, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Non-party guys you're picking up, but they're